We are back to talk Super Mario Galaxy movie spoilers. There is a fair amount to discuss in this case, including characters, cameos, story beats, Easter eggs, relationships, and more. So I am eager to talk about this as a lifelong Mario fan, and of course to do so we got Nick back as well. Also, Zach, who wasn't here before. Zach just saw the midnight showing, and also I saw it again at midnight, Zach. So I will let people know if that changed my thoughts at all about this movie. But before we get to that, Zach, real quick, what did you think of it overall?
Man, this is a hard one to diagnose.
Diagnose? What are we? Are you Dr. Mario?
Oh yeah, the full doctor suite. I'm hoping we get all the doctors in the next movie, maybe.
Yeah,
but
right.
We'll get to that when we get there. There are some very high highs and some kind of low lows with this one. I think if you had problems with the first one, I'm sorry to say, you're gonna have some of those problems maybe amplified in this one. But if you are a Nintendo fan, if you are just a pure Nintendo fan, Mario fan, you are in for a delight with the references that are practically non-stop in this movie.
They really are non-stop. I might even say as a Nintendo fan to its detriment at points, because like the first time in particular, it's like they almost stood out too much. I'm like, oh, I did not expect that coming. It almost felt like the movie came to a grinding halt whenever some of those things did happen. But I will say, rewatching it again last night, it did help smooth over that a little bit because I knew they were coming, so it didn't surprise me as much. But things like, the Game & Watch cameo. Yeah, we're going there. We're spoiling everything at this point, so get out if you don't want any more spoilers. The Game & Watch cameo. Never saw that coming. And, like, I guess it was, it was kind of cute in that, like, Luigi can't draw, but it was also kind of dumb, I thought. But then you also have the giant lizard or dragon from Mario Odyssey, which was kind of fun, maybe a little bit more appropriate, especially because they at least tied into the true climax of that scene. But yeah, there are a lot of Easter eggs here, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. Like in the first movie, they felt like they fit in naturally. Like they were diegetic to the environment, like they were just like a byproduct of this being a Mario universe. But here, Game & Watch, like he's front and center, for a few seconds at least. He has nothing to do with Mario outside of like, some very loose connections like the Game & Watch Gallery series. And it just took me out of the moment because it's like, this doesn't make sense. What's he doing here? How is he affecting the battle? Whereas in the previous movie, the Easter eggs were reserved for background details by and large. But I do want to stress, I didn't hate the movie. Like I said, I probably enjoyed it a little bit more the second time, though it didn't resolve my issues with it overall. And there are a lot of things I want to talk about, both for the good and bad in this. I will say real quick, Nick is definitely on the more positive side of all of us, right,
yeah.
Nick? So I think you help balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And again, go back to like the Game & Watch thing. I know we've been talking about it for a while, but like when he popped up, I thought for a second he was drawing like Doodle Bob. Like when I saw his legs, I know it's SpongeBob and it's completely different, but when I saw the legs, I was like, what is that? Is that? And then Game & Watch popped up and I started cracking up and I had to look back at the camera. I was like, or the screen. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And Natalie thought when Bowser Jr. was painting the dragon, she thought it was going to be Ridley. I didn't even think about that at first, but if Game & Watch came first and then the dragon, I could totally see like a Ridley just randomly popping up. But that's how crazy this movie is with the cameos and the connections. Like anything's possible. It
gets wild, yeah. And they even tease like an EGAT connection that they never show them on screen, which is kind of interesting. In any case, they're like, for me, like moment to moment, I think the movie is still, has a lot to like. But I think when it comes to the overall, how everything just kind of comes together like as a movie, that's where I was really just disappointed overall, just because I don't know, it felt like it was just missing some important elements that the first movie had that they really just kind of like hyperspeed through, partially thanks to like Star Fox being here, in the R-Wing. And it just kind of feels like it's not as focused as the first movie. Like in hindsight, the first movie is almost like laser focused on its like story, and this one kind of feels like it's all over the place. And I think also too, because as a result of all of this, the characters kind of feel like all over the place too, to me, to some degree. Bowser in particular, I think, suffers the most from it, in that he I don't even know where he's going for some of it. And I think there were interesting directions that could have gone with him, but then they just revert everything by the end, where he's just full on evil again, and I just didn't love that. It just kind of felt like, it almost felt like everything was pointless before that point.
Let's go into that part, Andre, because I think the first time we see Bowser is when he's Middy and he's in his Middy castle, and Mario and his relationship, they still hate each other. And Luigi's on the other side, and Luigi's like, hey, buddy, like, I can't wait for the book club, like, we're gonna read this book coming up. And then they're in the flower fields, like, leading up to Honey Queen, and Bowser just keeps, like, like torturing or bullying in Mario. He's like, hit me, you small little thing. I actually like that scene because I didn't even think about that's how he's gonna get big. I'm like, that actually works. And then he gives him a kiss where you think he's actually gonna like beat the crap out of him. And then next thing you know, like Bowser's like, no, I'll sacrifice myself. Like, I'm sorry. I'm like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And the next thing you know, like a few scenes later when they're in the UFO and he's like to Bowser Jr., don't kill them, like they're my friends. I'm like, and then that changes shortly after in the movie again. It's just like Bowser is just flipping back and forth on like what side he's actually on.
That's exactly it. I mean, I think there was a good idea there. Like, I don't hate the overall idea of like Bowser's son, like reminding him of who he is, being this big evil guy. But I just feel like they didn't explore the either direction as far as they could have. I mean, I still like my, you know, a direction I thought they were going in at some point where, like, maybe Junior goes too far. He builds this giant space base with, like, a giant cannon, basically the Death Star, and maybe, like, he's the one that's going to, you know, threaten the entire universe, and Bowser's got to pull him back. He's like, yo, hey, boy, you shouldn't be we're going too far here, right? You know, and then also that could have even led into, like, the Mario Galaxy game universe reset, which could have been, like, a really heartfelt moment, which they didn't have here at all. In any case, I'm getting too much into the weeds of, like, what it could have been. But yeah, Bowser just felt like uncharacteristically unlike Bowser at points. And again, I think that could have worked, but the thing that really tripped me up is like just before he graciously sacrifices himself in the kingdom to, so Mario and Luigi and Yoshi can go off and do their own thing. He had just learned he has a son, or rather that his son is back. So why is he just now like imprisoning himself voluntarily when he wants to go see his son, I assume? And it doesn't matter because his son rescues him a few seconds later anyway. But it just, I don't know, the movie plot just felt kind of like all over the place, even though I did like moments within it.
Zach and I were talking off, like he called me shortly before this and he brought up like Honey Queen, speaking of like the Bowser part still. And Zach was like, Honey Queen just kind of showed up just so they can have more Galaxy references.
100%.
She's in it for like 30 seconds, a blink of an eye. She has like a few lines and then she's out.
Yeah, she reminded me a lot of, in terms of personality, of the evil queen from, like, Alice in Wonderland, you know?
Oh, yeah, Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, but yeah, her role's, like, super small here. I'm like, why'd they even bother hiding it for such a small role? I mean, but she still may have had more screen time than Rosalina, almost, who barely feels like she's in this movie, despite being, like, the kind of the main thing. Like, you know, one of the things when you think of Mario Galaxy at first is Rosalina. She was marketed as being a big addition, and she's sidelined more than Luigi was in the first movie.
Yeah,
despite this movie being longer.
I was just about to say, like, I feel so bad for Rosalina fans, and I am a Rosalina fan as well, because the main reason I feel bad is it's not just that Rosalina didn't get a ton of screen time. It's that in this movie, we saw Luigi, while he didn't have a ton of screen time in the first one, we really got to see more of Luigi in this one. A lot more Luigi, and a lot more of his character, a lot more of his growth as well. And I don't see whatever Mario Movie 3 is being where we see Rosalina's growth. I could see, especially spoilers when we get to a post-credits, if you're introducing another princess, now you got another princess to contend with. I feel bad for Rosalina fans that this might be it for, the full growth of that character and getting to dive into her story. Really would love to see more.
What growth? What story? Rosalina doesn't change. The only thing that changes is her and Peach reunite, which even that felt like it didn't feel like earned. Like that should have been a big moment, but it goes by so quick, and it didn't even feel like Peach. My freaking Wonderflower is talking right now. I need to shut that thing up. Even
Nintendo's listening.
It's got thoughts on the movie, apparently.
Yeah.
I guess, like, getting back to, part of the reason why I was so disappointed is because I thought the first movie had a really good balance of everything. Like, it's not, Lawrence of Arabia or anything in terms of depth, but I think it had just the right amount. Whereas, Mario, we understood his goals. Like, he wanted to find Luigi. He feels small and insecure as a person. He feels like he's never, people don't respect him. And you see the arc, transform, especially as he, learns to be more confident in the Mushroom Kingdom. Here, though, Peach is already starting off from a point of, complete competency, of course.
Yeah.
Her only real issue that she mentions is that she feels lost, but that's never reflected in anything she does. We don't really truly feel that sense of loss from her. It just serves as a way to find, Rosalina. And also the whole, like, also Rosalina too. So Rosalina knows she has a sister. She's got a starship. Why doesn't she just fly to the Mushroom Kingdom in the first place to go meet her? Like, how does she even know about Mario and Luigi? Like,
she has a whole book about.
Yeah, she has a whole book on, and a whole book on Donkey Kong too. Like, she's got all these books on all these characters.
How many years have passed? It feels like it's only been a few months. Like, how does she have all these stories? How long has she been telling the Lumas for? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, initially I thought, like, that scene from the trailers was gonna be set in the distant future or something, or there's some time shenanigans at play. But no, she just somehow knows of all this. So is she just straight up a god? Like, she seems to have godlike powers, especially when united with Peach, which, by the way, they're sisters. By the way, yeah, they're sisters officially, which I'm fine with that idea. But does Peach have powers too? It seems like she doesn't, except when she's with Rosalina. So is this like a Frozen type situation where one sister has powers and the other doesn't by herself? But then, like, are they just straight up gods now together? Can they just create life and planets? I don't like that. I'm sorry, I just don't like that.
So on the powers part, I did do a little digging because one line stood out to me in the movie when they were talking about Rosalina and Peach and when they were doing the storybook was they described them as star children. And as far as I know, the only time that term has been
in what storybook?
The when we start getting into
in the movie?
Peach's, yeah, in the movie. So when we open the storybook and we finally get to Peach's story,
right,
where we see baby Peach and her and Rosalina separated. When we finally learn that story, they're referred to Rosalina and Peach as two star children.
Okay.
And in Mario, the only time we've ever heard star children mentioned, I think, is Yoshi's Island DS. Yes. Which the only thing we know from that is I did as much digging as I could. The only thing I could find is that they are 7 children of immense power. Was the only description of the Star Children. And Rosalina, I don't think debuted before that game. So Rosalina can't be a Star Children or Star Child in that context. But maybe they're playing off of that. Maybe it was just a nod to a Yoshi thing because Yoshi's in this movie. But they also, maybe they're throwing that in for later. They tease the Peach coming through the warp pipe as a baby in Mario 1 movie. Maybe they're teasing something about Star Children, and maybe we see, since Wario's a Star Children, maybe Wario is brought up as one of the chosen in the next movie or something.
I hate the Star Child stuff, I'll be honest. I'm not a huge fan of, like, predestined heroes, you know, like, oh, fate decided that they're important, you know, and it also came at the expense, not that I was particularly married to the storybook in the first game, though I did love it from the Mario Galaxy game, but we lost Rosalina's entire backstory, basically. Like, none of her parents, her mom dying, all that. It doesn't matter because they're somehow born from Stardust, which makes, I don't understand, and I'm not entirely sure why they even went that direction, only to simplify her origins. They don't have to explain that. They don't have to have her being, you know, like, how are they even sisters? And, like, how are they even related, actually, now? I mean, they're both independent beings. Like, what makes them sisters, actually, now that I think about it? Like, are they just in name only, by law?
Yeah.
Star law?
Andre, that's gonna be your new question going forward. Instead of, like, figuring out Bowser's ex-wife, you're gonna figure out, like, how Rosalie and Peach are related.
I mean, and that's, you know, I was really hoping we get more on Bowser Jr.'s backstory too. Like, you know, what they get away with it in a few lines, or right off in a few lines, like, oh, he was at boarding school and got dropped out. Okay, fine, whatever. But, like, what about the mother? Dad? You know, Bowser's ex-wife, or, you know, whoever he hooked up with or whatever. Like, they just, you know, they did the Disney thing and didn't explore that at all. But, like, I feel like that would be nice to explore in a movie where we didn't know about this character existing at all before, you know, by the movie's universe. So yeah, I think it's odd. Like, I just found myself bumping up, like, against a lot of things like that. Like, in the first movie, they get away with it not explaining everything because, like, we were being introduced to the world as Mario was, you know, so it kind of worked. Like, this world was established, but now that we have this established world, you kind of need to explain things when things pop up out of nowhere. Like, why isn't Mario surprised by all the space flight happening here? Like, shouldn't he be concerned that he couldn't breathe in space or be worried about that, though he can, apparently. He can also fly between planets, even on a giant bug, I guess. So I guess there's just air in the universe. Like, I'm not thinking too hard about it, but there were, like, little things like that. Like, Mario in the first movie would have been asking those questions, I feel like, and here he's like, well, whatever goes, you know? Like, yeah, we'll go fly off into space and just hope for the best.
Like, Andre, you say that with the first movie, and one line that pops out into my head is when they go to Donkey Kong Country for the first time, the Kong Kingdom, and he's like, that monkey's wearing a vest. And then Toad's like, I feel a little underdressed. And I'm like that would, as a human, that would kind of blow you away. The monkey's talking, the monkey's wearing a vest. But yeah, like, in the Galaxy, there's no questioning anything.
No, he just fully accepts it. Though, you know, again, we don't know how long it's even really been. it doesn't seem like it's been all that long. But yeah, who knows? It's hard to say for sure. And yeah, in any case, I feel like there's more they could have done with the family stuff in general. Like, I think there was the stuff with Bowser and Bowser Jr. was handled decently, I would say. Though I think they could have tied it in even more, like, you know, with the whole, you know, Rosaline and Peach family, and even Mario and Luigi having their own family, though they don't touch on them here at all. And even Yoshi, like, does he have a family? Like, they could have tied that in as well. They didn't. They just kind of... I mean, that's another thing that kind of rubbed up against me a little bit, is that, like, they come across Yoshi, he's just part of the group now, and do they not worry where he came from? Like, or do they not want to help him find his family? Like, they know where Yoshi's Island is. It crossed through it in the first movie. Do they not think they should take this, like, young kid dinosaur thing to his home? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about this stuff.
To be fair, Yoshi explained his backstory, and they said, "I guess we'll never know." So
I thought that
they don't even know that he's...
I thought that was funny. I actually really liked that a lot. So, yeah. Anyways, we've covered a lot of ground there. Any more points within those topics?
I would say I wanted to, before we move on from the story, I want to touch on like one big problem I had with the story. And first off, me and I'm sure many others owe you, Andre, an apology. Because you're spot on about the first Mario movie having a good story, especially when compared to this one. And the biggest thing for that, for me, the biggest thing I noticed with this story was that it set up character arcs and then dropped them.
Yep.
It just completely would drop them. We saw it with Bowser and Bowser Jr., where it sets up this, well, first we see a Bowser kind of character arc of, oh, maybe he's turning into a good guy. Then all of a sudden he's like, no, I'm not going to be a good guy, actually. But the most egregious one for me, and I went on like a little mini rant to Nick about this morning, was one of Mario's. Mario actually had a story arc for a hot second in this movie. And it's that, and the best part about it is that it continues from Mario's story arc of the first movie. The first movie, Mario's story arc is he's always feeling inferior. You know, right. He has to prove himself to his parents. He has to prove himself to Spike. He's always trying to, you know, live up to this, you know, great image of what he thinks he can be. Now in this movie, we've established Mario has a thing for Peach, and specifically, and it all ties together perfectly, and they just drop the ball. When they are flying from the Honeybee Kingdom to Gateway Galaxy, Mario and Luigi are talking, and Luigi's like, "Oh, you got to ask Princess Peach out when you see her next." And Mario's like, you think she really wants to date a plumber? You know, like, I'm not good enough. He's talking himself down. He's saying, I'm not good enough. I'm like, you know, I can't be this. And Luigi's like, no, you got this. And what happens the scene before is Peach meets Fox McCloud, who is introduced as the coolest guy in the entire universe. He gets a whole 80s montage.
Love it. So good.
He's literally advertised as the coolest guy in the world. And not only that, to hammer the point home, Toad, who idolizes Mario in the first movie, calls Mario the coolest guy in the world. What does he say to Fox? He says, this guy might be the coolest guy in the universe. And then we have Mario and Fox meet at Gateway Galaxy, and they lock eyes. And it appears like, oh no, like this is, we're setting this up. Mario's going to feel inferior because Fox is the coolest guy in the world. And he's going to be like, I got to one-up Fox. The same way that you had to like one-up DK. And they throw it all out the window, and they both just go, nice to meet you, man. Like, you seem like a cool dude. And it just evaporates immediately. Nothing. And then we never kind of feel any other kind of through line with that of Mario feeling like he has to prove himself to Peach.
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like they just dropped the ball on there.
Yeah, I agree with that to an extent, for sure. I mean, I absolutely agree that there's barely any character arc for Mario at all here compared to the first movie, and I'd say that applies to most of the characters. In fact, I saw someone on Twitter saying that they thought Mario had a better arc here. I'm like, what arc are you talking about? But you did touch on the extent of it, basically. I will say, you know, to your point, like, there's even a scene before that where, you know, as Nick was saying earlier, where Bowser, like, really kind of brings out Mario's inner insecurities again, that makes him grow big again by punching him in the face and like, or stomping him, you know, into the ground, which I thought was hilarious. Maybe slightly out of character, but like,
because he called him small too.
Yeah, like, exactly. But that could have tied into what you were saying too. They could have like built upon that. In any case, I will say, arc aside, I did kind of like the light touches of like Mario, you know, like Mario and Peach's teasing the relationship, or him having interest in her at least. But again, I don't think they went far enough with it either. Like, you know, he never asks her out, which you think they would have, considering they build up to that. And then also, she kisses him on the cheek at the end, which, you know, I'm a sucker for. I love that stuff. It's so freaking quick, though. You can miss it. Like, it just flies by. And I felt like it deserved a little more attention or gravity to it, so to speak, because that's a big moment, and they just kind of gloss over it, so Mario can go fly around the castle with his super cape.
Well, the whole ending flew by. I feel like from the second Rosalina was saved to the credits happens in about like 15 seconds.
It does. Holy crap. And I felt, you know, and I feel like that's where it really maybe, like, that's where it kind of cemented my feelings on the movie. It's like, wow, this really kind of let me down. Like, it didn't feel like, the first movie had the heartfelt moment where, first off, you had the great battle scene in Brooklyn, but then it brings it all together with, you know, Mario's family seeing him, realizing, oh, my son's not a total loser. Like, he actually is out there doing stuff. Like, his weakness is actually a strength. He doesn't back down. Like, that's a good arc. Like, that all tied together. Here, like, what? Like, they beat Bowser, Dry Bowser, he blows up or whatever, I mean, he still exists. You know, then Rosalind and Peach, you know, are reunited, but barely. Like, it feels like they're the way they reunite is even briefer than Mario and Luigi reuniting in the first movie, which I liked how they handled that. And then what? It goes to credits? He flies around the castle. Oh! We have the stupid 8-bit segment where they rebuild the castle, which completely took me out of it. I'm like, why is this 8-bit? Like, the Mario Maker sequence with the Bowser OS, okay, I get that. That's kind of clever. Maybe a little too on the nose, but I thought I liked it enough. But there was no reason for the rebuilding the castle sequence to be 8-bit, especially because, as I mentioned earlier, if they had gone harder in on the climax of the story, they could have explained the castle coming back with a universe reset, like, you know, with the Lumas coming together. Like, what are the Lumas even in this universe? Like, do the Lumas do anything? Do they just turn into launch stars? Like, they didn't do anything else. You know, they fly the ship, I guess.
They put on a Fox's jacket, or
which were adorable. To be clear on that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that ending part, I was a fan of it, but when they were building the castle, I felt like it was more so like a credits kind of thing. Like, it felt like the movie ended.
It should have been the credits.
I thought it was the credits, but it's like this is something that you see, or maybe you saw it like in Sonic, like 2 or 3 in the movies, where it's like 8-bit Sonic just like running around, where it's like, oh, this should have been the end credits part.
I mean, the way they did it, like, almost feels like we don't want to animate them building the castle, so we're gonna do it in 2D instead. Here's my thing. This movie to me feels like what everyone accused the first movie of being. Like an Easter egg fest, a transparent ad for Nintendo products, you know, like no story, you know, all that. Like, the only two critiques I think that they objectively took to heart from the first movie that they debatably improved is that, you know, in terms of feedback, was less, you know, there wasn't enough Luigi. We got plenty of Luigi here, and then also the licensed music. There's like almost none here, as we touched on. But I think everything else like was arguably made worse. Like, I think most of the complaints people lobbed to the first movie is like worse here, you know? Like, there are like, even though this movie's longer, it doesn't feel like it, because there are sequences that don't really even tie in that well. Like, for instance, the baby sequence. Like, I think he almost is completely unnecessary. You know, like, that just exists to be, I don't know, a reason to have the babies here. Also maybe a throwback to the '93 Mario movie with the de-evolution gun. Yeah. And also, even though I like the sequence with Mario and Luigi protecting the kingdom, you know, while Peach is gone, it didn't amount to anything. You don't need it. Like, it's just there so you can have more power-ups and have, like, fun set pieces for the ads. And, you know, it's fun to watch again. And then, also, that ties into another thing I hated. I hate how Peach just left. She just straight up left the Mushroom Kingdom for, you know, without telling. She spent more time writing a letter than she could have just been telling him, you know? Like, why not just tell Mario so he can maybe go with you if he wants? But she just straight up bounced. She's like, I'm out of here, you know? Only because they wanted to separate them, I guess, for reasons.
Yeah, I get that scene happened so fast, just like the rest of the movie. But I want to go back to like what Zach was saying before with Toad's reference, or Toad's line from the movie, saying like, you're the coolest dude. Like, the Star Fox sequence, I mean, that's why this movie, and you guys know, like, that's why I love this movie. And Andre and I, we talked about it in our other review. Like, if Fox was just replaced by Pilot Toad or whoever, I think I would be a little bit more down to earth with how I felt about this movie. But having that Fox sequence, man, is it an awesome sequence. I expect there to be something along the lines of Fox here, but having the whole Star Fox team here in that cool 80s, like, animation style, like, I can't wait to see the movie again tonight because that scene happened so quick that it almost feels like a fever dream, like the rest of the movie. Like there's so much that happens. I'm like, did I just dreamt that up? Like, did I have a dream about that? Like, no, it's actually
real
in this movie.
I saw it a second time. I can confirm it's real. It still plays great the second time. But I will say, like, isn't it concerning that the debatably the best part of the movie isn't even Mario related? It's Star Fox. And I like Star Fox, but I don't think it should be the best part of the Mario movie, you know? And it just feels like almost completely out of place with it, even though they have the shared space theme. That's about it. I love the character of Fox. I love the opening. I had fun during the segments. I cannot stress that enough. I just don't think it had any place here.
Again, like you could have replaced him again with like a pilot of Toad or something. And even before the movie came out, people were like, "Oh, it seems like Fox might have the chance to replace Donkey Kong." But I think Donkey Kong probably had a better role in the movie alongside Mario because again, like they butt heads and they're going back and forth. And again, like Donkey Kong even has a character arc in that movie. His dad, he's like trying to get his dad's like approval. He's like, "Hey, Dad," like, and his dad's like, "No," or Cranky Kong's like, "No, stop doing that. Like, get to work." And they start having that scene inside what is it, the eel, where they're kind of fighting back and forth. But with Fox and Mario, it's just like what Zach said. They're like they lock eyes. I thought they were gonna fight, but no. And then it just flips over a new leaf. They're just like, "Hey, you're cool. You're awesome. Cool."
Yeah, it was immediate to like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
Like both of them were just like, this guy's okay by me. And there was no conflict when it seemed like they were going to set one up. Right. But my big problem with Fox is when I saw Fox was going to be in this movie, obviously, like my immediate thought was like, oh my God, we're setting up a Nintendo Cinematic Universe, which excites me. Like that, the idea of that excites me. After seeing the movie, I honestly don't think they're setting up a Nintendo Cinematic Universe at all. To me, I thought it was going to be like Fox was going to show up in the final battle and like be like, "Hey, need a lift?" Like I was flying by, and then we get like a post credit, which we do get a post credits with Fox, but then we get a post credits of like more to come. But to this, there was so much Fox that it was like, okay, this isn't teasing a Nintendo Cinematic Universe. This is just teasing a Fox spinoff. To me, like I don't think we're getting anything beyond that, at least in the immediate future of just like a Star Fox spinoff, and a couple of other fun things like Game & Watch and the Pikmin and Rob thrown in there for the fun. I don't, but if you're expecting a Smash movie, I would say don't, or at least not anytime soon.
I mean, this was basically, I mean, Nick had a whole short about how this is basically a Smash movie. They had a fair amount of the roster already here, like a surprising amount, more than I would have ever expected. And yeah, like that's the thing. I would love a Smash movie. I want it to be its own thing, though. I don't want it to be my Mario movie. And that kind of gets back to a broader point. It was a concern I had going into it, but I was totally open to it not happening. And this isn't why I was disappointed by the movie. I still think they jumped to Galaxy way too freaking fast. Like they had to they crammed in so much when they didn't need to. It made the universe far bigger than it had to at this point. Like we still have a whole like Mushroom Kingdom planet they could have explored. You know, I think they kind of went about this backwards. Like spoiler alert, they post credits as Daisy. I think they've been better off introducing Daisy earlier in this movie, saving Rosalina for the third movie, and that way, you know, we can open up the Mushroom Kingdom planet to like a broader story while still having space to explore later. And it's like I don't know where they go from here now, especially now that like they've made the whole universe like accessible, but I still don't even understand how this all works. Like, did the Mushroom Kingdom people know about all the space stuff before? Like, did Toads like look up and realize there's spaceships flying around? Like, the first movie has none of this. I mean, except for Peach teasing she could be from any other star. But like, I was like bumping up against how like the two movies kind of like work logically, you know?
I think to your point, Andre, like of them jumping the gun to Galaxy, this really should have been the Super Mario World movie. Yes. If you think about the locales in this movie, Toast Arena is supposed to take place on the same planet as the Mushroom Kingdom, at least in Odyssey, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is.
The Minus World could take place anywhere, frankly. I feel like they didn't have to put the Minus World into
I love that, by the way. I love the whole little Easter egg sequence there.
It is fun. The Minus World is so cool to me. It would be the equivalent of like if Pokemon referenced Missing No.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing.
Good point.
Yeah, like such a cool thing to reference. I have small gripes about it, but I'll save that for another time. On the locales, though, as far as going to space, other than Rosalina's observatory, you really kind of didn't need any of the space locales for this movie. Even the Bowser Kingdom, you could have played that off as the 3D world Bowser Kingdom because it was clearly heavily modeled off that with like all the roller coasters and everything like that. I don't know. To me, it felt like it didn't need to be a Galaxy movie, and they just wanted to have the Galaxy slapped on there, very similar to how they kind of slapped the Honeybee Queen or the Honey Queen in there. It was like, we need Galaxy stuff, when really they were throwing everything in there. I think this would have been much better served as a Super Mario World movie, and then Galaxy next.
I really think there's more they could have done with Yoshi than they did. Like, I like Yoshi in the movie. I think he's cute. He's a fun sidekick, but that's literally all he is. There's literally zero arc for Yoshi. There's no character development there at all. And I think they could have done more with that. Like, they could have had the story focused around Yoshi. Instead, he just shows up and is now part of the crew now, because that's how the Mario games are. And I wish they had explored that idea more. You know, like, what is it? This is a major new addition to the cast. But no, we can't worry about that. We got things to do in space. You know, we gotta go rescue this sister that we don't know anything about, and still don't even by the end of the movie, except that she's a god, you know? Like, I still can't get over how much of a non-character Rosalina is. Like, I don't have any understanding of who she is. She's
more of the MacGuffin for this movie.
Is.
Like, she's more of like a thing than an actual character in the movie.
Totally. And like, go ahead.
I would say I feel so bad because you see all the promo stuff leading up to this movie about how excited Brie Larson is to be Rosalina. Yeah. She's clearly a massive Nintendo fan. She's proven it in the past, and she's very much proving it in all the press tours leading up to this movie. And she gets that little screen time. Just is such a bummer to me that like you have this great ambassador for Nintendo among Hollywood. She's even going on, I think she was like quoted in Variety as saying Hollywood needs to learn from video games more. There's a lot of things that video games can teach Hollywood. This awesome ambassador, and you give her like 10 seconds of screen time in the beginning and 10 seconds of screen time at the end.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like she legit had. I would love to run the crunch the numbers at some point. If she had at least it feels like she had far less screen time than Luigi in the first movie. Like, people complain about Luigi, but Rosalina got so much worse in this one. Like, I feel like we had a decent understanding of who Luigi was in the first movie, and that's partly through just effective storytelling. Like, we met him early on, we got to see how he related to Mario, and then we also cut to him throughout the movie. When they cut to Rosalina here, she's like just in a cage, like on the floor, and like doesn't do anything, you know? So we have no better understanding of who she is. And or what she even does. Like, why is she even flying around the cosmos in her Comet Observatory? Like, oh, actually, here's something else that bugged me. Again, you know, maybe I'm thinking too much about like children's movie logic, but like, how did Bowser Jr. like manage to like create a giant entire planet out of nowhere? Like, how did he earn the respect of his entire army? Like, where did that all come from? How did he amass all this without anyone's knowing? How did he even know about Bowser being kidnapped? You know, maybe that
without his dad's help too.
Without his dad's help.
This, and Bowser's like, doesn't he say you built this for me? He's like, yeah, Dad, look at this. And I'm like, if your son can build that, your son can literally do anything. Like, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, like, I think, you know what we needed, I think, is Bowser Jr. finding out what happened to his dad. That will help so much, I think, fill in the gaps. Like, you know, maybe Kamek goes to him like, hey, your dad's been kidnapped. Sure. Like, then like we see Bowser Jr. just get like upset. Like, even though he wasn't a great dad, like, we can see him like reacting to this news. Like, but I feel like we just didn't have great motives for a lot of the characters overall, you know? I mean, it honestly feels like at times like things are just happening for the sake of it, and I don't even fully know why.
It would be hilarious if we got like a scene of Bowser Jr. literally at boarding school. We found out Bowser Jr. was at boarding school the entire time of the events of the first movie, and then maybe like Kamek like breaks him out and be like, your dad's been kidnapped. He's like, gotta go, teach.
Yeah, exactly, something like that. Like, something to help bridge the gap, especially because Bowser does not mention having a kid at all in the first movie, not even suggested it at all. So, like, having some way of filling in that a little bit more than they did, than just a throwaway line would have been nice. So, yeah. Any other big points we haven't touched on yet, guys? Whether positive or negative?
We touched on a lot of the cameos. I mean, I can sit here and just talk about Star Fox, or just Fox McCloud, like, I know it, because, I mean, again, he's a major role in this movie, so, like, that whole flight sequence against, when Fox is flying the R-Wing against Bowser and Bowser Jr., I love that scene. I love when they're playing, like, the Cornerian music.
Yeah, I like that, too.
There's other, I think, maybe Star Fox jingles in there. There's definitely some that play when they meet him for the first time. But yeah, that flight sequence, I still can't believe it's actually real and it actually happens. My like, Andre, to your point with like your logic and it's like, how's Mario breathing in space? I'm like, wait a minute, how are they all fitting in the R-Wing? Even though they have seats in there, I'm just like, that's still
2 sidecars.
Yeah, there's 2 sidecars, and then what, is Toad behind him, kind of like R2-D2? Like, because there is someone behind him, because it kind of
sounds like
Luigi, Peach, Luigi, Mario, Yoshi, and Toad. Like, there's 5 of them in an R-Wing, and you can barely fit one person in there. But yeah, besides that, like that flying sequence, I'm gonna watch that over and over again.
It's really well done, which is why I would love to see an actual Star Fox movie, because it shows they can do it, and I love the characterization of Fox McCloud himself. Like
For sure.
I mean, it seems pretty clear, like he's the rogue, like Han Solo type figure of this movie. And I mean, it's actually very similar setup too. They need to transport in Star Wars as well. They need to transport here, and he helps in the final battle too, or a big battle at least. So yeah, I enjoyed all that, and I don't even fully hate how they used him here. Like, if you're gonna force him in the movie, I think they actually did it pretty well. Though, again, it did kind of take away. Like, my concern more is less that he doesn't belong here, and more that why is he the best part of the movie, when I think there's everything else. I mean, that says more about the rest of the movie than it does the Star Fox sequence. Like, I wish the rest of the movie were operating on the same level. And also, there's still a part of me too is like, how much am I just liking this for the member berries? Oh, it's Star Fox. Oh, it's Corneria, the song from the first game that I love, and I think this movie went in even harder on that than the first movie did, where like they relied on it more. Like, I think one of the complaints people had about the first movie that I don't really agree with is like, it's just I mentioned it earlier, just like a series of Easter eggs. It's like, yeah, that's a world building. Of course, we're gonna have Goombas and Koopa Troopas running around, doing the things that they do, right? But here you can see the author's hand more clearly, I think. Like, oh, we want a cameo from this game here, just throw it in, oh, let's have a Mario Maker segment, even though I kind of liked it, like throw it in here, and it just felt less effortless, I would say, than the first.
Zach, I'll go to your point because I think I know what you're about to say. You talked to me about it this morning. But to your point, Andre, with the first Mario movie, when they did have like cameos from other characters, they were in it for like a split second. Like, it's like, oh, there's brief. Diddy Kong, there's Dixie Kong. It's like, oh, they're there for a second, they're kind of gone. Like, even in the pizzeria, it's like, oh, they're in Little Mac's Pizzeria. Like, you see all the Punch-Out characters. And again, it's not in your face. Like, it makes sense that they're kind of just hanging around those pictures on the wall. But
they're Easter eggs. They're actual Easter eggs.
They're actual Easter eggs. And I was saying to Zach, too, I'm actually somewhat happy that they revealed Rob, like the Pikmin and Fox being in this movie, because I think I would have had like somewhat of the same reaction to seeing them as I did seeing like Game & Watch. Like, when I saw Game & Watch, I was taken back. I was like, I can't believe this is actually happening, because Rob shows up, and then after Rob, it's like Pikmin a few scenes after. Not even, like, it's directly after, and then after that, it's directly into Fox. So again, if we didn't get those reveals for those characters leading up to this point, I think I would have been like, I don't know what's happening in this movie.
Well, especially Rob and Pikmin. I was telling you, Nick, like, my theater actually did have a little mini pop for both Rob and the Pikmin, because the way they teased Rob and the Pikmin was they did that one kind of reel, like promotional reel, where it flashes a bunch of characters in sequence, and if you pause it frame by frame, you see Rob and the Pikmin. So if you weren't paying that much attention to the promotional materials, you were general fan going to see the movie, you would be surprised. Unlike Fox, where they put out like a full post thing. I could be wrong. They might have done it with Rob too, but I don't think that they did a full, like, the Pikmin are here kind of thing. So there was a little mini pop in my theater for the Pikmin. But
real quick. I did think it was cute, even, Easter egg attention drawing aside, that they build it up to be this big spaceship landing, and this tiny little Pikmin come out. That was cute. It reminded me a little bit of the scene in the second, The Last Jedi, I think, where the iron comes down. You think it's a spaceship. Oh, yeah. It just irons the clothes. Sorry, Zach. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
We were saying before, Nick, about we were talking earlier off screen
with the ideas. Right?
Well, that too. This movie definitely feels like they went into a boardroom, they had a million ideas, they threw them all at the wall, and nobody wanted to cross out a single idea. They were all like, these are all genius, so we're just going to stitch them together and just like make it work. We're like, we want to include the Minus World, but we also want to include Wart. But we also want to include the roulette wheel from Mario Sunshine. Throw it all together in one. I think the biggest indicator of how this movie operates and how it feels like the Mario movies are being treated can actually best be seen in the post-credits, in that when you look at a lot of post-credits of movies, they generally set up the next movie in a way of like, 9 times out of 10 they end up introducing either the villain or teasing like a spin-off kind of thing. And when you look at the post-credits for both the first movie and the second movie, you get Yoshi and it's just his egg. and then you get Daisy, and it's just Daisy being like, and there's Daisy. And it feels like they really could have, if it feels like the post credits would have hit a lot harder if it was the post credits for the previous one was like Bowser Jr. finding out about his dad, be like Cam would come and be like, "Sire, your father's been kidnapped," and then Bowser Jr. like being revealed. And then something like this, I mean, who knows what the next movie is going to be, but I was totally expecting, not to deep too much into the post-credits, but when we see Bowser and Bowser Jr. in the post-credits in a cell, I was totally expecting it to like pan over one more cell, and we see like Wario and Waluigi in the cell next to them, like planning a breakout. Or something like that.
It's funny, the post-credits in both movies, or the middle one, is basically the exact same. Bowser's in jail again. Yeah. And they kind of joke about that to a degree. I will say the Luma Cop or Luma,
Luma Lee,
is funny. I thought that was cute. Although, it's too bad that they spoiled that scene effectively. Well, in two ways. One, that scene, we saw that scene in the first trailer, right? Or second trailer? One of the trailers.
I think second one, like the last Mario movie direct trailer, probably.
And then apparently there was a Screen X trailer that came out where they expand the viewpoint, and I didn't confirm this, but from what I heard, it apparently spoiled who's in the lockers or the jail cell, with being Bowser Jr. and Dry Bowser. Also, this is a me thing. I don't hold it against the movie. I hate Dry Bowser as a character. I hate that he's in this movie, and I hate that he may be stuck in this form in future movies too. Like, I see him turn to Dry Bowser, he looks so freaking goofy running around. Like, I couldn't take him seriously anymore. Even though there were some cute moments, like when Bowser Jr. is like collecting his bones or whatever. I just hate that he's here, and it's like, is he just gonna be this way now, like Gruntilda and all the Banjo-Kazooie sequels?
No, I think, again, with Bowser and Bowser Jr., or at least Dry Bowser and Bowser Jr. being in the cells, and I was talking to Zach about this earlier, I really think that they're going to be sidelined in the next movie, and then you kind of bring in Wario and Waluigi. But I say that now, and I'm like, they can go so many different directions and bring in all the Koopalings, or like focus more so on Bowser and Bowser Jr. for the next one.
You did remind me of one thing. They teased another like evil presence during the flashback with Rosalina and Peach, which we don't know what that is. Like, someone wants their power, and that's when they have to separate, but we don't know why that is. We also don't know, why does Rosalina stay behind either? Why does she go with Peach? I'll explain this. Like, if you sit down and think for like 10 seconds about anything in this movie, it just falls apart, Like, it doesn't make much sense. Whereas the first movie, I think, at least held up fairly well to some scrutiny,
Well, that scene happens exactly in the first Sonic movie. I mean, another video game movie, when Sonic's, like, parent or guardian, I forget, it's the owl.
Oh, true, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, like the owl, they have the ring. Yeah, Longclaw. They have the ring to go through as the portal, and she just puts Sonic in the portal, but she can go with Sonic.
Go through too,
it's the same thing that happens with Peach and Rosalina. She's like, all right, go through the warp pipe, and she's just like, I'm going to stay behind. Like, no, you could have gone with her.
I mean, wait, and now I'm really thinking about it, couldn't the bad guys just follow them through the warp pipe too?
Yeah.
Like, oh, man, yeah, it's... I actually expect in the film more gaps. Like, in terms of a lore sense, I think the story in Mario Galaxy, as it applies to Rosalina, is more fulfilling. Like, there's more to it, at least, And, like, here's a sad thing, literally, in the sense that Mario Galaxy made me cry. Like, the freaking storybook, I actually, like, I had tears in my eyes reading that the first time. Nothing here, like, teared me up at all, Not even tears of joy, like in the first movie. Like, I enjoyed it, I had fun, but, like, not on the same level that I did the first movie, and I was really, I thought this was gonna be the chance they could really hit like a darker tone, a darker note. Not for the whole movie, of course, but like at least at moments. Like, again, Peach says she feels lost, but we never get that sense from her. Like, there should have been a scene where she is all by herself, where she doesn't know what to do, perhaps. Like, that will really help drive home the point. Like, in the first Mario movie, we got those moments. Like, in the eel, we see Mario like feel like he's worthless, like he doesn't know what to do. He's trapped with Donkey Kong, who also feels similarly. We never get that moment with Peach, so I mean, I would say this is almost Peach's movie, but it doesn't have the story framework to support it,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like, it definitely feels like they were setting up Peach and Rosalina to both have these arcs, and they end up dropping Peach's arc and never giving Rosalina one in the first place.
Yeah. But Nick, what are we missing? I know you love the film. Is it just Star Fox? Is it just Star Fox? Are we being too harsh, Nick? Like, that's the thing. Like,
no. But again, like what Zach said about you, Andre, like going back and playing the movie in my mind, and I watched it again over the weekend. Like the characters do have a lot of story beats and story arcs, and like a growth for those characters. Even like Donkey Kong and Mario and Luigi, like all those characters do. So that for sure is missing in this movie. But again, like, I mentioned in our last review, I think this movie is going to be better suited for just watching clips online. And
Yeah.
those clips I enjoyed so much. The casino scene with Wart and Berto, even though, like, again, like, there are memorabilia there. I'm like hearing Jump Up Superstar and seeing the casino and seeing Peach like kind of like bewildered by the casino. She's like, wait a minute, how are they on the ceiling? How are they on the walls? And then she takes that first step and it just whoosh, it flips right over. I'm like, that was cool. Even though like you kind of see that coming, like that was an awesome scene. Or where she's taking charge with Toad fighting off against Bordeaux, Wart, and Mauser. I'm like, this is such an awesome scene. And then again, going into another fighting scene that we talked about before with the UFO and Fox, I'm like, this is just awesome. Like, I had no complaints about those. Again, I was just smiling the entire time with those scenes.
I don't disagree. I think taking each scene individually, I think they're almost all really good, if not great, if not, really good. I think they're all really fun. It's just like the way they're threaded together that falls apart for me, which is kind of what you need for a movie. That's why I said in our first review, it kind of felt like they just took a bunch of video game cutscenes, like slammed them together, but you're like missing the connecting tissue.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like individually, scene to scene, like they're beautiful. Like I think they're by and large well acted for what it is. I think they're actually surprisingly clever at points, like making Wart like a mob style boss, like in the casino, in the Minus world, like that. Okay, that's just genius. All right, like connect, like in the Mario lore sense, like that's absolute genius. Like I don't think you can realize those characters and like that glitch in a way that makes sense any better than they did. Like that's absolute genius. And I think that's the kind of elegance like I look for in my Easter eggs. Like if you don't know the Minus world, it's a reference to the Minus world, it still works.
Yeah.
It feels like they're running through like a wall in Harry Potter, the brick wall in the train station. Like it still works on that level. And that's what I like, that cleverness. But it's when it's more in your face, when it's like it's just a reference for the sake of being a reference, that it starts to lose me, even though I still like enjoy it in my lizard brain, like, oh, that's Game & Watch, oh, that's an Aussie Dragon, and whatever else. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's why it was frustrating for me, because I'm not watching it as a collection of scenes. I'm watching it as the whole, and that's what I liked about the first movie. Yes, again, I acknowledge it's not the deepest story, but it had a story. Like it was able to do what it needed to do to be a movie, like the bare, at a minimum, the bare minimum for what it needed to be a movie. I think Galaxy doesn't even reach that benchmark. Like it falls short of that in a few ways, and that's why it kind of fell apart for me. And that's why, I want to stress, I don't hate this movie. I want to be clear on that. I still have fun. I saw it a second time. I'll probably be seeing it a third with my dad, to get his take on the movie. I'm very curious to see what he thinks, considering he didn't play the games. He loved the first movie too. But where was I going with this? I forget. Like, I don't hate it. It's just that, like, I guess for me, here it is. When I loved the first movie, I was overjoyed. I had the smile on my face the entire time. I saw that movie at least 13 times in theaters. I had a complete blast. I will not be seeing this one 13 times in theaters. I guarantee you that. Like, I just love the first one, just feeling like I had fun, but I'm also just really disappointed, even though I couldn't fully understand why at that exact moment in time. So,
Zach, how do you feel overall?
Yeah, I mean, overall, like I said, if you approach this just from a going in as a Nintendo fan, I think you're gonna have a fun time. I had a fun time overall. I think the highs of this movie were very high in terms of those references, but the problem is that it felt like a roller coaster that just kept stopping and starting constantly. Of you, just when things would start like they're going somewhere. You'd go 100 miles per hour and then you'd stop and you'd be like, okay, we're going in a different direction now. And your stomach starts to churn after a couple of those, particularly with the story. I would love to see a like director's cut of this movie, almost if they just replace a couple of things left and right. My classic example is the Minus World. I think the Minus World is one of the coolest things in this movie, especially like bringing back Wart, the locale of the Minus World, the idea of the Minus World in the first place. I think it would have been so much smarter if they were, instead of going to the Gateway Galaxy and then just stumbling upon the Minus World, it would have been cool if their first stop was the Minus World. Like Peach is like, if we gotta get information on where Rosalina, like we gotta go to the hive of of scum and villainy, the Minus World. That's
such a good idea. Like, and that kind of ties in again to the Star Wars analogy I was saying earlier. Like, they can go to Mos Eisley, I think, for like similar reasons, right? I'm right there with you, but I was even trying to remember earlier, like, this is how fast the movie goes, but I'm like, why were they even at the casino? Or, I mean, what was the story purpose for that? And it's because they find out that Rosalina, I think that's where they find out that Rosalina is kidnapped, right? Or no.
They find out she's kidnapped and at the Space Junk Galaxy.
Right, and Wart informs Bowser Jr. About them, I think, is what he does. But like, yeah, they could have handled that in a smarter way. Like, instead of making it a byproduct of things just happening, of Yukiki stealing their crap, which in itself is also a clever reference, because he steals stuff in the games. But I think I agree with you. Like, had they had a driven purpose to go to the underbelly, like, oh, we have to go to this dangerous area to, like, you know, find out the information we need. I think that would have been better. Speaking of which, on the character perspective, real quick, where do they go from here now that Daisy is a factor?
I mean, I'm just worried because, again, like Zach pointed out, like, there's usually something major and something that can kind of, like, breadcrumb you into an idea of what the next movie's going to be. But just with Yoshi, and Yoshi was kind of, like, sidelined in this movie, or didn't really have much growth. It's just, like, is that going to happen to Daisy? Like, I have no idea. Like, Daisy could just be another, like, sidekick character and could not have a major role in the movie. So where they go from there is... I don't know, but I mean, I was more so happy again. I'm gonna go back to like the Fox thing, like seeing Fox at the first end credits. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe we're seeing him another time yet again. But yeah, seeing Daisy there, I was kind of shocked and like overwhelmed or underwhelmed at the same time, because it's just like, okay, I figured we're gonna get Daisy at some point, but I think everyone, including myself, were hoping for, again, Wario Waluigi to just show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, on Daisy, I don't want to put this out in the universe, just because I know it's like, as soon as I say it, it's definitely not going to come to fruition in the third Mario movie. But I could see where they are going with this. I had a feeling Daisy was going to show up because there's a line from Luigi where he's that exact scene I was talking about, where Luigi is talking up Mario and trying to get him to go for Peach. He ends that scene by saying, "Hey, and maybe she's got a friend for me." And that, I was like, Daisy. Okay, all right, they're going Daisy. And maybe that kind of through line that they teased and then dropped that I was talking about is carried into this third movie of, like, maybe Mario is really trying to court Peach, and then Daisy gets thrown in the mix, and Luigi is like, oh, now I gotta stop being such a scaredy cat and man up to, appear, cool for this girl. And maybe that's like a B plot of whatever they go with next, but other than that, I don't really know where they go.
I mean, maybe the B plot is like Mario and Peach on their own journey, and then it is Daisy and Luigi, and then that's where you can kind of tie in like Luigi's Mansion to a degree, instead of making a full-blown spin-off, if they want to kind of keep it somewhat contained within like the Mario movie world instead of the Luigi movie world, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing with Peach and Daisy, or Luigi and Daisy, just reminded me of just how disappointed I was by how they wrapped up the romantic story in this one,
Yeah.
Where, like, I actually love the scene when they're on the dinosaur planet, I think it is, and, like, wherever they were, Gateway Galaxy, I think it was. Peach goes in for the hug, Mario goes with the handshake.
Oh, yeah.
Thought that was hilarious. But they could have, like, tied that back in later toward the end, like, whether him, like, actually embracing each other, like hugging each other, him asking her out, but instead just like a quick peck on the cheek and then we go to credits, and I think they could have really like done more there. Like, that's the thing I want from the movies. I really want to see more of these like character relationships, and in this one in particular, it felt very superficial, by and large. Although I think there were just some like potentially interesting stuff with Bowser early on, from the point that they split up entirely, like they basically forget about doing anything really interesting with the character dynamics, I think.
I wonder how much like Miyamoto had his hands in this movie.
It feels like a lot this time.
It feels like between.
Oh, he's got the whole title card at the front where it's a Shigeru Miyamoto and Chris Meledandri production.
Yeah,
like is like one of the first credits.
But I wonder how much like he had in the writing process, because again, like throwing Fox in there and having less of a character development, character growth for all these different characters. Maybe he's just like, hey, let's focus on the fun here, this scene needs to happen, and then we'll kind of figure out the writing as it goes. And that's what it felt like this movie was kind of.
It did. And that's what people accuse the first movie of, which I disagree with. But, I think this movie is kind of like the complaints people had about the first one, like, actually valid now. It being, like, truly valid.
It's a bummer. I feel like I said it earlier, but I feel like it makes your videos that you made about like the first movie's story that much more credible, because you look at a comparison and it's like, oh no, if you had those complaints, you didn't know what you were talking about until you saw this one. That movie has some story arcs. That one has a through like line. That one has a hero's journey. This one, sort of. Kind
of heroes.
Yeah,
they're heroes.
And
exactly.
they go on a journey.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Everyone is almost, by the end of the movie, like, unless I'm, like, forgetting something or missing something, like, everyone's basically the exact same they were at the beginning. The only thing that changes is that Rosalina and Peach are reunited, which we even know how that resolves, like, we don't even know how that resolves Peach being lost. Like, we saw nothing in their relationship where Peach now realizes, oh, I know where I am now, you know, like, man, it just frustrates me that they were potentially close to having some really good concepts here they just don't deliver on. Like, it's really the payoffs that they completely drop the ball on, I think. So, and I really want, this is what I need to, like, let her, you know, I want the fans to know, like, or the people watching this video, they may not be fans, they may be hate watching, I don't know. Like, I don't hate this movie again, and I cannot stress enough how much I wanted to love it. I think I should be clear about my 12-part, hour-and-a-half long Mario movie analysis series. I loved the first movie, I had a blast at it, and I was really hoping that they would recapture that magic again, and for me, they just didn't, and that's why I'm so disappointed by it. Even if it's not a bad, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't hate it. I had fun with it. I'm seeing it, like I said, I'll be seeing it a third time probably not 13 times again. But I was really hoping they were gonna deliver again, and they didn't, and that's why I'm so disappointed by it. So because for me, there's nothing like the Mario movie. There was nothing else like that movie, and unfortunately, that's still the case.
I was gonna say, do you think? Is this telling to what the next movie is going to be like, or do you think they'll actually revert and take criticism to heart and be like, okay, we need to kind of build off of what we did for the first movie?
I honestly
in
have no
regards
idea.
to just the character development, or is it really just going to go full blown visuals to the wall, all action sequences again for the third one? I mean,
I'm worried because the lessons they took from the first movie already were not the ones they should have been taking away. I think they took away the wrong lessons. The only critique that I fully agree with that they improved upon for a sequel, I thought it worked for the first movie, but like not having Luigi sidelined here, yeah, good, that makes sense. Beyond that, I'm truly worried now. Like, I don't know what they're going to do here, and I hope that they take the right lessons away. But now that we have even more characters on top of introducing even more for the next one, like, I feel like we're just getting too complicated and too convoluted here. But maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll work through it. I don't know. So, but there's just so much now to deal with, and I think we started seeing already collapse under its own weight in this movie with how many characters they had to balance. So.
And maybe that's why they go right into Donkey Kong next. Like, that's been rumored. Maybe they just go right into Donkey Kong. You start with Donkey Kong. Maybe it's like a prequel to the first Mario movie, and you have him have a lot of less characters to deal with. Maybe it's like Dixie Kong. Maybe it's like K. Rool he has to deal with. Maybe Cranky Kong's there, and maybe Dixie's there. Like, that's just a handful of characters that you'll have to deal with.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, my nightmare was when Nick mentioned that the Koopalings were going to be the next thing. Like, can you imagine all of them having their own celebrity voice actor? Like, if they put them in, they're all getting. I don't see a world where only some of them get to talk. I think they're all going to get their own voice actor who wanted to be in a Mario movie, and they're all going to have lines, and that's just going to be a mess.
Like, I love the Koopalings. I prefer them to Bowser Jr., at least in the games. I would love to see them in the movie, but yeah, that would be a tough balancing act, and I think you would effectively have to, like, make some of them background characters, essentially. Like, you'd have to have, like, a couple Koopalings be the forefront, the rest, be, like, support characters. In any case, yeah, I don't know where they go from here. We know Daisy will be there. I assume maybe Wario will show up at the least. Like, you can have the whole Mario Land type story where, both them being from those games. But yeah, I honestly don't know where you go story-wise from here. I really wish they had just saved Galaxy for later. I think that'll really help to iron out some of the issues, potentially, and kept the second movie smaller in scale than at least Galaxy, But
I just thought of something. Yeah, I do have a final thought. I'm like, we're like, oh, Galaxy should have been last, and they could have gone Mario World, they could have gone Sunshine, they could have done Odyssey. But what if they're really going to do in the future? Maybe it's not the next movie, the third movie, but maybe it's like the fourth or fifth movie. What if they do Galaxy 2? I'm just like,
what do you even do?
I'm not laughing about it, but maybe that's the time. Maybe like, hey, Rosalina's here. We got to give her more time to shine.
I guess that's true.
I can't picture right off the top of my head like what a Galaxy 2 movie is going to be like, but they do have a Galaxy 2 game, so maybe that's their thought process behind this. Maybe this was setting up the Galaxy-ish kind of world, and then they're like, okay, we have all the characters that we need for Galaxy, which is really just like Rosalina. Maybe you want to count Bowser Jr., but then it's like, hey, this is what we're going to make for like the fourth or fifth Mario movie.
It's man, I kind of.
It sounds crazy.
I want to be clear. I do not dislike the Mario Galaxy movie because it's a Mario Galaxy movie. I love Mario Galaxy the game. I just feel like it's coming at the expense of like the Mario movies I wanted to see. Like there's so much more outside of Galaxy that they can be doing, and I think going to Galaxy so soon takes away from what else it could be. Like, there was 25 years of Mario games before Galaxy, or 20 years, right? And so I would love to see even more of those worlds and characters realized before we went into the whole space thing. Because I think adding the whole like loose sci-fi dynamic, it does change things. It does make it feel different now. And I think that's, now that they've done that, there's no coming back from it. And that also concerns me. Like, is the whole Star Fox crew gonna be the next one? Like.
Not to mention, they technically introduced multiverses, because Fox's storyline was he was like, I was driving my R-Wing and then I got sucked into a parallel universe.
Right.
So they technically have introduced the multiverse.
That's a good point. I guess you could charitably look at it as Nintendo acknowledging, yes, these characters are in different universes. Like, don't worry about there really being a true Smash Brothers crossover. But like, also at the same time, you can just do the Marvel route, have everyone come in from the multiverse, and no, it's just doesn't really matter now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's we gotta wrap it up. Anything else? Anything else here?
Again, nope. I was happy with seeing this movie. I keep saying Fox because it's been 10 years since we last saw really anything on him. I mean, you put him my favorite Nintendo, if not my favorite video game character in this movie. You give him a major role, a major actor. And then Bowser Jr. on top of that, which is my favorite Mario character. I'm like, I'm going to have a good time with this movie.
Real quick, would you prefer that this were a full-on Star Fox movie?
Oh, of course, like 100%.
Right.
Yeah, and I think no, I say that, and I think that would have cleaned things up, right? Because again, Fox's role in this movie is a major part, and he has some great lines, and he does really help out the Mario team. So if this was a solo, standalone Star Fox movie, I think I would have appreciated it a lot more.
All right. Real quick, let's get our ratings out there, 1 to 10, and I want you to rate the first Mario movie as well. Just so people have a basis for comparison. So if you don't know, just come up with something. For me, I'll go. Actually, I'll go last. Nick, you go first. Actually, no.
I can
Sorry, Zach, go first.
Zach.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think I gave the first Mario movie an 8. And it's funny when I called Nick at like 2 a.m. last night after I got out of theater, and I think in that voicemail I said I liked 2 better than 1, and now that I've sat on it more, I think I might like 1 better than 2. I think I'm gonna give Mario Galaxy a 7.
Okay. Yeah, I think you did
8 for 1, 7
too. Okay. Are you ready, Nick, or should I go?
Yeah, I think I'm ready. I think I'll go the other way around, and it's mostly, again, because of who's in this movie, because of where they go with everything. As a movie, like, I feel like I could give it a separate score, but I think I'm going to give it, like,
I mean, in terms of your enjoyment, like, your enjoyment levels.
My enjoyment with this movie, I gave it an 8. I was smiling nearly the whole time, and that could even bump it up to a 9. The plot, some of the dialogue, and the character development, I'm like, that's much lower. But again, like, I just want to kind of just turn off my brain, sit back, and just watch a movie. Because again, most of the time, like, my free time, I'm playing video games, so I'm kind of a little bit more active. So seeing these characters in this role where I'm just sitting back and I don't really have to do anything, I'm like, okay, this is kind of like a dream come true. But compared to the first movie, I think the first movie is definitely a better movie than this one. But again, outside of all that and just the package and my enjoyment overall, I would give this one an 8, the first one a 7.
Okay, fair enough. I'm so jealous you had a smile on your face the entire time. But that's
how I did.
That's how I was with the first movie. Like, literally, I remember even rewatching it, and I was like cognizant of that fact, and I was paying, like, I wouldn't realize until like I would try to get the smile off my face, it would just come back by itself. Like, I couldn't control it. It was like completely involuntary. But here, like, there were a handful of scenes where like I was smiling, but then I just knew I wasn't for the rest of it. Like, it's something about this movie just rubbed me the wrong way at points. So I would say first movie for me, like 9.5. Like, I loved it. Like, I'm not saying it's a spectacular feat of cinematography, but I just love that movie. So much fun. This one I was bouncing between 6.7. So I'll go right in the middle, 6.5. So, which sucks. I really want to like it more, but there we have it. So, woo! All right, that is what our an hour long spoiler discussion on the Mario Galaxy movie. I think we covered pretty much everything that we can, but maybe we'll be back with more. Chat, let us know in the comments below what you thought of the movie. If there's any of the points you want us to address, maybe we'll do a live stream at some point where we can more actively engage with you. I think that could be fun, especially once more people have seen the movie. But that's all we got for you, everyone. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you later. Have a good one.